So you've covered both the Obama administration and Trump in Washington. As a journalist, what's the key difference in your day-to-day experience?
At the White House, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of unbelievable. It's like, you know, I don't go to those briefings all the time, but I go to them sometimes, and I went to them sometimes when Obama was president, because we cover a lot of the rest of America as well. But you would go and, you know, if Obama was there, it was a different story, right? It would be packed. You'd have to go early, and it's a big deal.
When he went to
when
the
he
podium
himself, which was occasional, but usually it was Josh Earnest or whoever was the person at the time. It'd be half full. You know, they'd go to your usual suspects, the ABCs, the NBCs, the CBSs, etc. And it would be a kind of back and forth, keeping in mind that it's their job not to give too much information. They're just here to make it sound like they're giving information, but not really give stuff, just to give fodder, as it were.
Now?
Now, every single time, it's like you've got to get there 30, 40 minutes ahead of time. You're not going to get a seat. You're going to stand around the edges. You stand there and you wait and you wait and you wait, and every seat fills. You can't move. If you have to go to the bathroom, forget about it.
The room is remarkably small. Like everything in television, you know, it's sort of distorted, right?
Yeah.
You get in there
there's
and it's
not
like
much there. It's like your basement rec room, basically, full of reporters wanting to antagonize you. And then Sean Spicer comes out, and then the other big difference is the tone, right? In the previous administration, it was kind of a cordial, at times challenging, obviously, that's what reporters are there for, back and forth, but with kind of an understanding we're all kind of doing our job here. Now, doing our job is much more aggressive in both directions. It's almost like you stand there sometimes and you're watching like a fight is going to break out. It's sort of weird, right? Because people are in a country that puts freedom of speech and freedom of the press and all these things. It's the First Amendment of the Constitution. It's a part of the DNA of that country. But you get the sense with Sean Spicer, how dare you ask that? What are you saying? You're implying something. Oh, you may frame it that way, but come on, punch.
You know, this is asking you to cast forward, which is, you know, a bit unfair, I admit. But do you have the sense that this level of tension and acrimony can continue? I mean, does it have a feeling of eventually it's got to burn itself out?
I don't know. You know, I think a part of it there, if I can go backwards a little bit, goes back to post 9/11, when a lot of the U.S. journalists took a lot of heat for not asking harder questions in the aftermath of that. And I think there is still a stinging feeling left over. So you want to be harder. And certainly, you know, skipping past the Obama administration, there is reason to be harder now, especially with all the stuff that is coming out of the Oval Office and the leaks and the things that people legitimately want to and ought to be asking questions about, which are awkward, for which Sean Spicer doesn't have answers. It's like, come on, these are pretty straightforward yes or no questions. But again, it's his job to kind of deflect stuff. He may not be as smooth, and the circumstances are different than they were with Obama, because of the nature of the Trump presidency. But that's his job, and he'll do it as long as Trump allows him to.
Good talking to you.
Likewise.